What's the worst house guest experience you've had? My uncle and his wife came to stay for a while. They got my room and I slept on the couch for a few months. NBD when you're a kid, I guess. What actually ticked me off is that when they finally left, we found out that they'd seriously messed up my room. Everything reeked of cigarettes. There were ground up peanut shells in the carpet, cigarette burns on my mattress, etc. And we couldn't figure out why the room smelled like death until we lifted up the bed and found mummified cat shit stuck up in the shag carpeting. They either had such bad hygiene that they didn't notice the smell, or they knew and they just didn't care. Wife's cousin stayed a couple days with us. After he left, I discovered he purchased about $60 worth of porn on DirecTV. Sister-in-law house sat when we were out of town. There were tons of disrespectful presents left for us. A cookie crumb trail of condom wrappers, which lead to an actual used condom, like WTF. But the worst was after cleaning all that up, which was just aggravating and stupid. There was a putrid smell I couldn't put my finger on, until I finally opened a drawer in the dresser in the guest room. She had left a takeout container in there, half an omelet that had gone rancid. I gotta hope she just had to go quick and forgot all that crap was there when she left. Either way, we took our key back from her. My aunt came to visit for what was supposed to be a week or two and didn't leave for almost a year. When I was a kid, she redecorated my room and even put up pictures of herself. Now the running joke in my family is to randomly leave pictures of yourself around the house when we visit people. That would be the girl visiting my sister-in-law who decided it would be funny to repeatedly prank call 911. I got a very angry call from the local police station saying we either stopped or they'd be sending a squad car over. Apologized profusely to the officer and thanked him for calling us first. She was not invited back to her house. She was 17 and definitely old enough to know better. He cranked my dad's speakers up to the max and blew them. They were from the 70s, so impossible to replace or repair. Then he clogged our toilet, grabbed a bunch of grandma's quilts to sop up the water. He then tried to stop the water by violently shacking the tank, cracking the bowl and dislodging it from its base. In a panic, he tried to bolt from the house. His wet feet slipped on the wood floor and he crashed into a wall, leaving a nice body-sized impression. That's how my brother's friends was barred from the house. Instead of asking where the toilet paper is, they let their kid wipe his ass with our guest towels. Housemate had people come over, order a pizza, decide they didn't want it and refuse to answer the door so they didn't have to pay, at 4 a.m. Pizza guy could hear them through the door, so kept knocking louder and louder. I eventually went to the door and opened it, then explained to the pizza guy what was going on, so that they didn't blacklist the property, and forced them to pay. As they were packing to leave the next day, I noticed them trying to take some of my extra PS4 controllers by sneaking them into their bag. I'm normally an introvert, but already being cranky from no sleep, I lost my shit at that point. Called them a disgusting thief and told them to GTFO. I was on my honeymoon with my husband and we let his dad stay at our house, but said he had to be out by the time we got back. We let him know when we were on our way home and expected him to be gone. We get back. He was gone but had not gotten his stuff out of the house. On top of that, he trashed the place like a group of teenagers. Empty pizza boxes and trash laying around. He came back and stayed around for a bit and asked me if I was mad at him. Like, of course I'm mad. What do you expect? My ex-wife's friend had her car break down. and our apartment was right on a bus route to her job. She was supposed to stay over for a week while she got her car fixed. After 2 months and a lot of warning, we packed her bags for her and put them by the door. Ran into a guy the first used to call a friend and let him stay with me for a while as he was down on his luck. I guess we'd ran out of toilet paper, so he used a washcloth and left it at the side of the toilet. Kicked him out and found out later he walked away with some of my CDs. Some mutual friends let him stay. Against my advice. They came home one day to find him passed out on the couch with his pants around his ankles. After they kicked him out, they found out he'd racked up $900 in phone sex charges. Fuck you, Noel. You always were and always will be a piece of shit. I had surgery and was on bed rest for a week. I asked my cousin, who was living with me at the time, to keep an eye on me, as I was on heavy painkillers. I stayed on the couch and let her use my bedroom. When I recovered, I found used weave piled up on clean towels in the bathroom cabinet, a douche nozzle behind my nightstand, trash piled all the way up the wall in the kitchen, dirty dishes everywhere, a plate of rancid food in the microwave, ketchup and mustard smeared on the floors. And she had stolen a bunch of clothing and CDs, along with one of my iPhone chargers. She had a Windows phone. And she poked a hole in my $2,500 Sleep Number bed. I kicked her ass out immediately. Oh, this is a pretty good one. So I had a really old, good friend call me and tell me they needed a place to stay for maybe a few days or a week. When I lived in the Pacific Northwest, I of course said yes. Then she told me her girlfriend was coming too. Okay, great. They show up. And when they get to my porch, she tells me her girlfriend has strep throat. At first I think, okay, whatever. But then I stop and think, isn't that highly contagious? Quote. But they are already here. So I just kind of start thinking to myself that I'll have to somehow keep them to my spare bedroom and sterilize the crap out of everything. But then I am just wondering why my friend didn't tell me in advance. Or if they don't know how contagious it is. Like if my girlfriend had strep, I'd go get a hotel and not subject my friend to that. After about a day, my friend tells me via text she has to leave, which at first I am relieved. But then she asks if her girlfriend can just stay at my place. I don't know her. I've never met her in my life. I tell her I have another couple that need to come stay with me, which was true, and that I am not comfortable housing someone I don't know who is sick. She says that is fine. But then when she comes to get her stuff, she acts all pissed and says, well, see you sometime. Maybe. And I don't hear from her for a long time after. Kinda fucked up she put me in that situation, tbh. My mom's cousin and her husband went for a short visit to our house. She was 5 months pregnant then. She and her husband didn't leave until the baby was 2 months old. Not my experience, but my mom's. One of my dad's younger cousin moved into my parents' newlywed house to stay with them until he finds some other arrangements for him. My dad's a pushover and mom's an introvert. He ended up making my parents move out of their bedroom to other room as he needed it for his studies. That pos uncle had his friends over every other weekend. Even though my older brother was born, he did not move out. And then my dad's younger brother died, which gave him another reason to stay with them. Dad was living a soulless life for a few months after that. Then after 4 years I was born. And boy oh boy, the baby me was a crier. According to my brother, if my uncle was even within 10 feet of me, I would cry. If I heard his voice, I would cry. Then he finally left the house and has never been in our lives again. I guess I'm a blessing. Edit. IDK why you guys assumed I'm a male. Clearing it out. I'm female. Thank you. Never even got to spend any time in this apartment. I agreed to rent an apartment with my younger sister on her road to recovery from drug use. And we'd all thought she was doing well. I paid for the first month's rent and deposit, which is standard. She moved in a week early, because I was working night shift, and the whole process started on a Monday. That weekend I got to move in. I found out my debit card was locked out because she stole it and attempted to withdraw money too many times. It didn't get any better after that, sadly. When our son was born, my mother-in-law came and stayed on our couch for 2 weeks to help. In the 2 weeks she was there, she did nothing to help. Dishes? Laundry? Feedings? Nothing. And our poor son had real trouble feeding those first few months. We couldn't get him to eat well. And it didn't help that my mill was there the whole time, staring at us while the baby didn't eat. After 2 weeks, my father-in-law was going to join us, so my mill baked a pie for him. That's why I always said that if we had another one, I'd be on the doorstep with a shotgun until the baby was 6 months old. Edit. As this has blown up some, I'll add a few things. When my mill saw my wife for the first time after the baby, she said, "Wow, it looks like there's another baby in there." Also, my Phil wasn't there to meet his first grandchild because he had a prior commitment. It was a Vietnam veterans reunion. I wasn't bothered that he wanted to go to that, because I know how important that group is to vets. But this is your only daughter and your first grandchild, and you can't skip it 1 year? But then again, if he'd been as helpful as his wife was, it was better that he was away. My GF was pregnant and we were taking a little vacation. We let 2 friends who are brothers use our house while we were gone on the condition that they maintained the yard and garden. First they borrowed the truck, which wasn't a big deal, but they immediately wrecked it, driving head-on into a garbage truck. Then our very best friend stopped by to borrow something and they told her to fuck off. They found some hidden cash, maybe $100, and stole it. They broke plates. We came home to find a pile of soaking wet towels and linens which had grown mold, and they all had to be replaced. Believe it or not, they did make an attempt to mow the lawn but somehow broke the lawnmower and then never fixed it or mowed or watered anything, and many flowers were dead. I had been collecting exotic varieties of heliconia there on the big island of Hawaii, and they were all dead. Some of those flowers were worth $80 or $100. So we come home from vacation and the boys have vanished without a trace and won't ever answer our calls again. We are 5 months pregnant with no vehicle and a trashed house. I think the worst part was that we really did think of them as friends, but then they ghosted us. Like that. Like we were disposable and our pregnancy and our lives didn't matter. A guest took a dozen eggs from my pantry and cooked it and served it to her kid after refusing to allow the kid to eat a dish I cooked for them. I think I had an older post about it somewhere here in Reddit about it. Husband of friend came for Xmas since she was out of town. He brought the dog, who had diarrhea. Dog humped our dog for hours till our dog was covered in saint. Husband spouted racist crap and my kids laughed at him. Had to wash our dog in the kitchen after he left. Friend divorced now.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.